Here's your news rush for August 26, 2026. 6 stories. Let's go. A tanker just went dead in the water in one of the world's most watched shipping lanes, and nobody's saying who's responsible. Maritime authorities say an unknown projectile struck the engine room of the Greek-owned tanker Metro Venetian off the coast of Oman, near the Strait of Hormuz, leaving it unable to move under its own power. Officials say the entire crew is safe and no oil spill has been spotted. The UK Maritime Trade Operations Agency confirmed the strike but did not identify what hit the ship or who fired it. The attack comes as the US rolls out new sanctions on Iran's oil trade, and Iran and Oman discuss a safe corridor through the strait. That means a fifth of the world's oil supply just got a reminder of how fragile it is. Subscribe for more. That's world news, fast. The head of the CIA just flew into Moscow overnight, unannounced, and both sides are staying quiet about why. A U.S. military transport plane landed at Moscow's Vnukovo airport, carrying CIA Director John Ratcliffe on his first known visit to Russia since taking the job. The Kremlin confirms Ratcliffe met with Russian intelligence officials, but says he did not meet President Putin. U.S. officials declined to share what was discussed. The trip comes as talks to end the Russia-Ukraine war have stalled, and after the U.S. reportedly asked Ukraine to pause strikes on Moscow while Ratcliffe was in the country. That means whatever happened behind closed doors, both governments wanted it to stay there. Subscribe for more. That's world news, fast. A rare, violent tornado just ripped through a small village in southern France, and officials are still counting the damage. French authorities say a tornado struck the village of Pomus, near Carcassonne, with wind gusts up to 73 miles an hour, injuring 41 people, 2 critically. Officials say roughly 300 homes were damaged, some losing their roofs entirely, with cars flipped and streets buried under debris. More than 120 firefighters responded, and about 2,800 households lost power. Emergency shelters opened in Pomus and nearby Limix overnight. That means an entire village of about 1,000 people just had its week upended in a matter of minutes. Subscribe for more. That's world news, fast. 2 Senate primary runoffs just wrapped up on the same night, and both produced surprises. In South Carolina, election officials say Darlene Graham, sister of the late Senator Lindsey Graham, defeated Congressman Ralph Norman for the Republican nomination, winning 52.3% to 47.7% after being appointed to temporarily hold her brother's seat. In Oklahoma, officials say 31-year-old nurse and first-time candidate Nkila Jasmine Thomas beat a much more established, more moderate opponent for the Democratic nomination, despite being vastly outspent. Both now head to November general elections. That means voters in both parties just picked candidates outside the usual playbook. Subscribe for more. That's world news, fast. Prince Harry and Meghan are moving back to the country they left 6 years ago, and this time it's not for a visit. Royal sources say the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are flying from California to the UK with their children, Archie and Lilibet, who are expected to start school there. Reports say the family plans to settle in the Cotswolds, roughly 2 hours outside London. Royal officials say the couple has no plans to resume official royal duties and will remain non-working members of the family. Sources say King Charles was informed of the plan just days before it became public. That means the family that left the royal fold in 2020 is now moving back into its backyard. Subscribe for more. That's world news, fast. A video aired on Iranian state television is now under investigation by the U.S. Secret Service after it directly targeted a member of President Trump's family. A Secret Service spokesperson says the agency is aware of the broadcast and investigates anything that could be perceived as a threat to its protectees. Reports say the footage, tied to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, is the first time Barron Trump, the president's youngest son, has been publicly named this way, after earlier threats aimed at First Lady Melania Trump. The White House has not detailed what specific security steps are being taken. Officials say investigations into threats like this typically take time and are not discussed publicly while active. That means the family's security posture likely just changed, even if none of it is visible yet. Subscribe for more. That's world news, fast. That's your news rush for today. Subscribe so you never miss a day.